Hey everyone, since we're all going to be working together on this project, I think it would be a really good thing if we could all reflect on our past experiences and things we learned from some experiences that we had.
So this project shows me like how you can modify the beach and create like an extremely efficient production of clams with only like natural ingredient. That's very impressive for me. Like before this expedition, I found indifferent towards either the topic of our environment or the topic of indigenous culture. And but like after I actually myself visit the site involving these subjects, I just realized how like limited, like how unknowledgeable I was. I think one of like most iconic moment for that trip, like in my perspective, is when the indigenous recorded us standing nearby beach and told a story about how the indigenous people perceive about nature. I think I've learned that everything within the nature has its own spirit, and it is our job to respect those spirits by preserving the natural ecosystem and stop our endless pillaging from the earth. Just singing a song that the nature, the spirits that inspired him in his dream. He sang in such a resonant way that I felt like everything on the beach just stopped at a moment and took appreciation of how what what has nature gifted us and how beautiful it is. And yeah, that's one of my most appreciated things about the entire trip.
Does anybody else want to share some of the experiences that they had?
Before going through this project, I wasn't really like kind of interested in this project because it's like an environmental based project and I wasn't really interested in this aspect. However, as I continued doing the project and I delved into the economic aspect of the project, I started to appreciate this project more. Because of I found that because of like the increasing pollution of the island, the amount of edible seafood around the island drastically decreases, which drives up the price of seafood like drastically. So I think that's why environmental protection is so important. Is that because the pollution that's affecting the seafood can directly affect us. So that's why I think this project is very important.
For me, a really inspiring moment was when we went to the beach with the Sea Garden manager. Day was quite cold and quite windy. And it was quite bleak, and it was just like any other beach. We didn't think there was much to learn about, but it turned out that that beach there used to be probably a beach that indigenous people used to farm clams in, and it was quite a perspective change when we learned from the beginning it was just a random beach to something that held the treasures that the generations of indigenous communities valued and treasured. And we learned about the relationship with the clans, with the environment. It was a mutual relationship. It wasn't a one-way or isolated relationship. So it really inspired me when we actually dug the clams ourselves to think that probably thousands of years ago, indigenous children did the same. But because of pollution and the things we've done to nature and to the environment, we're losing that environment. In fact, we've already lost it. The beach isn't um, healthy for harvest now because of the pollution. So I think that was a really great moment to learn about how something that seemed so unappealing at first, we didn't even want to like go there at first, right? Can turn out so inspiring. Yeah, that's for me. So adding on to Daniel's as a filmer for this project, I think when I first arrived on the Russell Island, it's I was amazed by the beach, and after explained by the manager for the Clam Garden, I noticed that the sand was almost entirely comes from the cell of the clams, and I have never seen such big clams in my life.
I guess that it's like in my hand, literally this big.
Yeah, that was really fun to see. I wanted to share from my experience. I wanted to highlight actually the planning of the trip because I found it really challenging to fit all of the events and things that we wanted to do within the 4 days. And that applies to finding everybody's availability, including the people that we wanted to interview. An example of this is when we were trying to get in the Sea Garden manager, Eric, and the Indigenous storyteller in within the 4 days. Eric was only free on Thursday, and the Indigenous storyteller was only free on Friday. So that just led to the plan of once we arrive on Vancouver Island, we'll interview the Sea Garden manager, and then the day after, we'll interview the Indigenous storyteller. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that even though everything was organized as well as we could, everything had to run as smoothly as we allowed it to, we couldn't completely cross out all unexpected mistakes that we could make. And I think it's really important to acknowledge all of the unexpected changes that we had to face throughout the trip. For example, on Friday, like I said, we were to interview the Indigenous storyteller. However, the original storyteller couldn't make it to the interview on time on Friday, so we had to compromise to another one. Unfortunately, the new Indigenous storyteller wasn't able to come on the boat with us to Russell Island, so we had to compromise and film on a beach instead. But in the end, I feel what we could all learn from that is that all of these unexpected changes what enriches the experience more, making the exploration an exploration.